Question number 1. From the first paragraph, pick out two phrases which describe the desert as most people believe it is. Pick out two phrases which describe the desert as specialists see it. Which do you think is an apt description and why? Answer. An endless stretch of sand, waterless and without shelter. A beautiful place, the home of a variety of people, animals, plants. Second description is apt. Human experience tells so. Question number 2. Match the following. Answer is an endless stretch of land, nothing but sand as far as one can see. Second one, waterless and without shelter, no water, no shade. An oasis, fertile place with water and plants in a desert. Hidden by a cover of grass, not visible because the grass is thick. Question. A camel can do without water for days together. What is the reason given? The reason is the camel sweats very little. It can therefore retain water it drinks for long period of time. How do the smaller desert animals fulfill their need for water? The smaller desert animal spend the day in the underground burrows to escape the heat. Some of them eat other animals and get water they need from the moisture in the meat. Others eat plants and get water they need from plant juice. In a desert, the temperature rises during the day and falls rapidly at night. Why? In humid climates, the air has moisture that protects the earth's surface from the heat of the sun. Since deserts have no moisture cover, they heat up rapidly during the day and cool off rapidly at night. Describe a desert in your own way. Write a paragraph. A desert is usually a dry, hot, and horrifying place. That is why only nomads and camels in a small number live there. Of course, there are green patches also near the water spring. These places are called oases. The deserts occupy vast areas. In India, hot desert of Rajasthan can also be turned into fertile agricultural land provided we take water over there through canals. So this second question is an interesting activity. You can do it as a project. Take up A4 size paper or make a video, whatever is convenient to you. Make it and keep it as a record for subject enrichment marks. So you have to show the lifestyle of people of desert, their food, clothes, work, social customs. The nomads are homeless people in desert areas. They keep shifting places where they can get food and fodder. Their life is very hard. They use camels for transportation. They eat mainly meat and dates. They weave their clothes from the wool of camel or sheep. Their lifestyle is very simple. They look to the sky for rainwater. They have developed their own customs. Short answers. Who finds it difficult to imagine what a desert is like? Some people living in regions covered with forest, surrounded by hills, find it difficult to imagine what a desert is like. What happens when it rains in desert? Rains are rare in desert. Whenever it rains, desert flowers start blooming. The sight becomes as rewarding as that of any tropical garden. What is an oasis? How is it useful for desert plants? An oasis is like a green island in the middle of a desert where a spring or a well gives plants and trees a better chance to grow. How do desert plants and animals differ from most plants and animals? Desert plants and animals have developed the ability to require less water than most plants and animals. How do desert plants fulfill their need for water? Some desert plants adapt themselves to the life they lead. The cactus plants have thick stems. They store water in them. Their roots lie close to the surface of the ground. The roots quickly absorb the moisture from the light rains that occasionally fall. In this way, they fulfill their need for water. A few plants that live in desert have developed the ability to require less water than most plants in other regions. Desert can be a beautiful place, yet water is the necessity of every individual. Discuss and throw light on conservation of water and its resources. Nature has bestowed us with bounties and gifts, and deserts are one of them. But hardships faced by the inhabitants are really harsh. Water resources are depleting, and no measures are taken into consideration for optimum use of it. Wells and rivers are drying up. Constant source of water needs to be restored, and more canals should be dug so as to provide basic necessity of every living being. Animals and plants that live in desert have adapted themselves yet facing hardship is part of their lives. Living in desert is full of hardship, be it cold or hot desert. Struggle for sustenance takes a toll on life in desert. They have to face scarcity and extremities of weather condition, less flora and fauna, bolt the beauties of these places. People have to stay inside during day, restricting their working hours. Describe a desert in your own way. So, a desert is generally without water and vegetation. But after reading this lesson, you have come to know that desert is definitely a very beautiful place. Desert may be hot or too cold, but plants and animals are also there. They have learned to survive in hot and dry and cold conditions. Deserts also have a different kind of vegetation. A camel can do without water for days together. What is the reason? A camel can do without water for days together because they sweat very little. Camels can stand high body temperature. They don't need to sweat and therefore they can retain water they drink for long periods of time. How do the smaller desert animals fulfill their need of for water? Smaller desert animals spend the day in the underground burrows to escape the heat. Some of them eat the other animals and get water they need from the moisture from the meat. Others eat plants and get the water they need from the plant juice. In a desert, the temperature rises during the day and falls rapidly at night. Why? In humid climates, the moisture of the air acts like a blanket and protects the earth's surface from the rays of the sun. The absence of the blanket in desert land causes the desert to heat up rapidly during the day and to cool off rapidly at night. What is the popular belief regarding vegetation in desert? The popular belief is that it is an endless stretch of sand where no rain falls, therefore, no vegetation grows. What is an oasis? An oasis is like a green island in the middle of the desert where spring or well gives plants and trees a better chance to grow. What is the real definition of a desert? If a place has little or no water and vegetation, people usually call it a desert. What are sand dunes? Sand dunes are heaps of sand and deposition that shift and move endlessly across the desert. How do desert plants and animals adapt themselves with scarcity of water? Desert plants and animals learn to require much less water than most plants and animals. What is the unique feature of ship of the desert? The camel is called the ship of the desert. The camel is adapted to the hard conditions of a desert. So, what does it do? It can drink a lot of water at one time. So, it has a great storing capacity. It will store water, and in one time it will drink lot of water. And second thing is, it sweats very little. It can do without water for days together. This is the unique feature of the ship of the desert. Have you ever thought, why do we sweat? We sweat because we must keep our body temperature constant. What do small animals do to manage themselves in the desert? Or how do small animals manage in desert? Because in desert the conditions are very hard. Water is less. Small animals remain in their hideouts or burrows. So in the holes, during the whole day they will remain in the hole and come out at night only. Animals get moisture from the meals they eat or from seeds and plant juice. So, if they are eating other animals, there will be some moisture in their body of that dead animal. So, they will take that, or they will eat juicy plants so that they get some water. So, this is the way how the small animals manage their life in the desert. We have talked about the animals. Now let's talk about the plants. How do desert plants adapt themselves? Desert plants store water in their thick stems. Their root lie close to the surface of the ground and quickly absorb the moisture from the light rains that occasionally fall. So, animals are also adapted to the harsh condition. Plants also have their way of surviving in the desert. What are mounds? Mounds are big heaps. What desert plants and animals learn to require? They require much less water. What type of animal is a camel? Definitely, it is a desert animal and it is called the ship of the desert. So, all the living things need water to survive. Camel is a typical animal of the desert and it is popularly known as the ship of the desert. So, after reading the lesson, we have come to know that the animals and plants they survive the harsh condition and have adapted to the desert life. Thank you. Have a nice day.